All right, so we're going to continue on with our database that we just created, our table, and we're going to try to figure out how to get that data out of the database into our PHP server over here. So last time we copied that string. I told you about how to get into your database, all this information we needed, because we need that to create a connection to the database server. Okay? So I'm going to call this, oh, I already have it, MySQL. All right? So first thing we need to do is create a connection to that database. And there's a, this is a little bit like Ruby or C#, where you create a new object. And this object, this connection object, is going to have some properties and some methods that I can execute on it. Okay, so I'm creating a new class of object, and it's going to be called the MySQLi class. And it takes 4 parameters for this object. The objects are the host. So let me just write them out. There's the host, the username, the password, and the database name. All right, so there's 4 values that I need to pass to this function that then the variable connection is going to have those properties associated with it. Then I can call methods on the, or functions on the connection object to do different things, to call selects and do different stuff to that. But on every page, I have to make this connection. If I'm going to access the database, I need to make that connection. This is going to actually do a web connection from my server on DreamHost to the server that's running the MySQL, because they could be on different machines even. All right? So what I usually do is I call these as variable names, because I don't want to have my code have my password in it all the time. And so I'm going to have 4 variable names, put $signs in front of them. And then I'm going to define those variable names. We'll start here. Let me copy and paste these. My host is going to be, from this string up here, the URL, basically, of how I get to that database server. So that's going to be a string containing that information. My user is going to be the username that I logged into when I went to phpMyAdmin, which was, mine was SCC_Dave. All right, my password is going to be, which I'm going to have to change because I have to type it here to show you, is DL Jones. And the DB name is the name of the database that we created, which was this last parameter on that string, as a string. All right, and so these values now, I could take these and put them in another included file, right? And that would be a better, secure way of doing that. So I'm going to copy these, cut them, actually. I'm going to create a little template file called dbconnect.php. I'm going to put those values in here as PHP code. And there I've got my 4. All it does is define the 4 variables that I have. Then I can change this one file if I'm going to production or something and my database changes. I change one file and I don't have to change all the other files that depend on that. So how do I bring that into this program? Okay, I do a require. And the name of the file, which was templates/dbconnect.php. All right, everybody with me so far? Yeah, you can move this anywhere. I can actually move this above this level and put it at the root of my above the root of my web server so that it's not really accessible via a web browser at all. It's only accessible by the PHP server itself. So that would be ideal. I would move it up to this level, above this level here, which would be like the root of your server. But for me to do that, I'd have to change some things and stuff. But that's ideal. Yours is going to be whatever you set up or whatever you went to in the PHP-MyAdmin. And whatever your username and password are and your database name. Those are going to be different for you guys. All right, so let's go back to my MySQL. I require them in. All that did was set 4 variable names with some strings so that I can call this function. Now connection, if it worked right, is going to have a valid bunch of methods that I can execute. So the first thing we want to do is see if we have a connection error. So we can say, I can do something like, whoa, if MySQL connect error, if that's true, then I might want to do something like die. This is a nice little PHP function that just stops executing everything and spits out an error message to the screen. I mean, this is a way to just kill everything. Because if you can't connect to your database, is there any reason to show anything else on your page? At that point, you're toast. So we're going to die, and we're going to pass it a string like connect error. And we might append, there's another method that we can call MySQL connect, MySQL I connect, and it's called error number. I want to see what the number of the error is. And then I might want to pass in and print out, there's another one called MySQL connect error, the actual error string. All right? So this will print out something to the screen if it doesn't connect. All right, so let's run that and see what we get so far. And I'm going to go to my MySQL.php, and I get nothing, so that's a good sign. That means it connected. Now let's see if I get an error. If I change my host to something like an empty string, okay, and I try to do a connect to that, I get an error. This is the type of error I'm going to get. Can't connect to local MySQL server through socket, gives me all kinds of stuff. On line 14, connect error was 2002, can't connect to local server. If I change this to something else, like change my password to something that is not right, I'm going to get a different error saying that I got an access denied for this user. So he had the wrong password or the wrong user. All right, so that's the type of error that we're going to get if we crash. That's what we want to see. So we need to check that on every page. We're going to do something like this. All right? Everybody with me so far? All right, so let's do a select and get some data out of the table. So we already have some data. I can actually go back to my PHP MyAdmin and look at the browse and select star from products limit. I can say create the PHP code. I can copy this code, come over here, paste it, and that's going to create what type of variable? What type of variable is SQL now? No. Close. No. SQL by itself. Look at what am I assigning it? A string. There you go. See, it's too simple. A string. It's just a string that happens to be some SQL code, and I need to execute that code on this connection that I've made to the database. I need to ship this select statement out to the server, the database server, and get some data back. So we do that by calling the query method. So I'm going to call, I'm going to say result equals the connection that I have. And to call a method on an object, instead of using the dot notation like Ruby uses, they use this dash and a greater than sign. Dash greater than means call the method from this connection object. And this we're going to call the query method, and we're going to pass it the string of SQL. So go out and execute this query on this connection that I've already established. All right? Any questions on that so far? No? That result returns an object containing some more stuff that we can look at that object and do some stuff with it. All right? So we can do objecty stuff, right? It's a result object, and you can look this all up in the API under php.net, right? And read all of that, read all 1,000 pages of this stuff. MySQL. These are all of the, and the I stands for it's improved, but there's all kinds of things we can do with MySQL. So one of them that I'm getting, was the connect. This double colon is the same as thinking of the dash greater than sign. It's saying call a method defined on the MySQL object. So where's the connect method? Let's see, I don't see it. I mean, it's not connect. It's called new. When I create a new one, where is it? No, that's not what I'm looking for. Let's just go here. Well, let's look at the result, because they should be able to see that one then at least. Where's the result? I'm looking at the wrong thing. Query. Let's look at query. Here we go. Query. There we go. Query is what we just called. Query is going to call using that SQL string that we passed, and it's returning this mixed object, which is an object that I can do stuff with. And it gives you lots of examples on how to do that. So I'm just going to step through these and show you how to do it my way. Yeah.
Before you step any further, can you back the train up a little bit, please?
And do what? Back to what?
Okay.
Specifically.
I got lost when you started trying to blow through this connection over here in your PHP.
In this stuff?
No,
In here.
PHP.
All right.
Okay.
So back to here.
Back to here. I'm trying to figure out what the hell you did.
All right. I created.
Went to the web browser and tried to pull it up. I don't know what you did from there.
I'm not sure which, this part up here you're talking about? Or this part, the select statement?
No, forget the select statement.
Back here.
Trying to actually view this in a browser with all this code you put in there.
I haven't done anything yet.
That's just an error.
That's just the error that I was seeing.
I typed in my
This is whatever the name of your file is. Is that the name of your file over here?
no.
So you have to go to your browser / whatever the name of your file is. I called it MySQL.php. That's just like calling contactus.php. This is the name of my page,
Okay.
and I'm just going to the browser and loading that up on the server.
Okay.
All right, you back with me?
A
Little bit better. Okay, so make sure, I just added some things in here to make it fail so I could see the errors that come up.
Okay.
And then I put it back in, and now if I run it, I shouldn't get anything actually. Yeah, I get nothing because I haven't displayed anything yet. All right, so a good debugging technique, because this is where everybody gets messed up, is to print out the value of the SQL command right before you do the connection query. Right before I execute that SQL command, this is going to execute the SQL command. All right, so let's see what I get here. I should just get the string of whatever that SQL was. Okay, so this is my SQL command. Select star from products, limit 030. But that's just a string until I actually tell the server that I connected to execute that query. All right, are you back up with me? A little bit. Doesn't want to admit. All right, let's see. We're running out of time. Let me write some code out here so you can actually see some stuff. The result is an object, and if I get something back, we'll add the error checking later. But I can do a while loop and get each row out of the database. I can assign it to my row variable by calling the result object method of fetch assoc. All right, so this is a method on the result object that I'm calling that came from the connection object. So this lets me get one row at a time from the SQL select statement. Okay, everybody got that? And this will continue until row returns nil, and I've got that will get me out of the loop. When row gets nothing back from the result fetch assoc, I'll get nothing. And the assoc is, it will give me, row will be an associative array that I can look data up in based on the column name of my table. All right? So I can say, let's echo out the row sub product ID. And echo out the row sub name, right? That was my product name. And let's put a break tag here just so I can see it. And now let's see what happens. All right, so I got 2 was the product ID and skis was the name. Let's put a break tag in here. I love break tags. They're just so much fun. Duh, that was dumb. I want to put it here. I don't want to execute a break tag. There we go. So I have the product number 2, product ID is 2, skis is the name. So I can start to peel off a row at a time, and I only have a row. So if let's go add another row real fast. Let's go insert something else just so you can see 2 things. And we'll call this one boots. And warm boots. And the price is $99.95. It costs us $8.95. Images/products/boots.jpg. Created at now. And I'm going to go. All right, that will insert the new data into the database. Now all I have to do is go run my code again, and I should get 2 pieces of data out. All right, so I got 2 and skis and 3 and boots. Now it's not formatted nicely, but you can see how I've now made a connection to the database. Let's go back through exactly what I did. I made a connection to the database through a TCP connection to the server. I checked to see if I made any errors. I created a SQL statement that's going to give me some data back. And I executed that SQL statement to give me back a bunch of rows. And I get 1 row at a time. And I do something with that data. Right now I'm just echoing it to the screen. All right? Any questions on that? That was a lot to cover in a day.
One question I've got is on the approach. What determines how far it goes? Is it the amount of data that's actually in the database, or is it
The amount of data that came from the query. So this is the maximum of this is only going to give me 30 rows.
that's what I assumed.
Yeah, good question. So, and if you have 1 million records, there's no way you could return 1 million at a time, and so your program would blow up for lack of memory. So you have to do it in cycles, paging. Yeah, exactly right. That's how you're going to do your pagination. Yep. The next page might be starting at 31, limit 30 again. You know, you're going to keep going up. Good.